Recently, this 1911 made a brief appearance in one of my other videos, and there's been some interest generated in seeing it again. So today, we're taking a closer look at the Dan Wesson Razorback. Some of you already know that I'm a fan of the 1911 platform, as well as being a 10mm fan. So for me, a 1911 chambered in 10mm has always been a combination that's hard to resist. The Razorback is an all-stainless match-grade 1911. The quality of materials and workmanship that go into these Dan Wesson pistols is certainly an example of the art of gun making. The Razorback features a forged stainless frame and slide. The slide also has a nicely done Clark-style target rib machined into it. Attention to detail is apparent throughout. The Razorback comes with a lowered and flared ejection port. The match-grade barrel is also fully ramped to reliably feed the 10mm round. The Razorback's trigger, well, it's absolutely excellent. Based on my experience with the Dan Wessons I've owned, the old saying, you get what you pay for, has applied to every Dan Wesson handgun I've ever purchased. I'm also not someone who's easily impressed when it comes to fit, finish, and function. Having 3 decades of professional machinist experience has sort of ingrained a certain level of OCD when it comes to machine work. Maybe that's why I'm more drawn to all-steel handguns in general. Polymer guns are just fine, and they do have their fair share of fans. But a handful of finely fitted steel is really where it's at for someone like me. In my opinion, these Dan Wesson 1911s are a cut above a lot of other 1911s on the market. The level of craftsmanship that goes into a Dan Wesson 1911 is what you're paying a little extra for, and where all that comes together is in performance. The Razorback's extremely accurate, and that's one of the reasons a lot of handgun hunters prefer this 10mm. The 10mm round is quite capable of taking down most North American big game animals, and is probably the most popular semi-auto handgun cartridge used for hunting medium-sized game. For some shooters, a 10mm might seem a bit snappy when compared to a 45, but keep in mind that a 10mm round produces substantially more striking energy than a .357 Magnum. In 2010, Dan Wesson discontinued production of these 10mm Razorbacks, which I thought was a shame, because a lot of 10mm fans considered the Razorback to be one of the finest 10mm on the market. Not long ago, CZ USA bought out Dan Wesson. Recently, one of the things that CZ USA and Dan Wesson have jointly decided to do was reintroduce the Razorback. From what I understand, Dan Wesson's now making a limited production run of these Razorbacks. So if you missed your chance to own one of these fine 10mm prior to 2010, here's your second chance to own a brand new one. This Razorback also doubles as one of my carry options. I do carry it on occasion with full confidence that the Razorback's 10-round capacity would more than handle any situation I might run into. I'll wind this review down by reminding those of you who thought you might have lost out on being able to get your hands on one of these Dan Wesson Razorbacks that you now have a second chance.